Hey, good morning, good people. Now, listen, this ain't just another morning wood. This is the last stiffy of 2025. And before we get to talking about ball, business, NIL, foolishness, coaches acting brand new, players getting paid, fans getting loud, and folks pretending they in the know just because they got a ring light and Wi-Fi, we got to pause for a second. Because if you're sitting here with me right now, eyes open, phone charged, mind working, spirit still in the fight, that means you made it. Some people didn't make it to December. Some people didn't make it past September. Some people got out of here in March, called it peace. But you still standing, still learning, still watching, still grinding. And 2025, oh my Lord, it tried. Everybody tried in 25. This was the year folks showed you who they really were. The year money talked louder than loyalty. The year opinions outpaced information. The year patience got tested and discipline got exposed. But here's the part they don't tell you. If you still got breath in your body at the end of the hard year, that means you passed the test. Morning Wood just ain't about sports. It's about perspective before you get that caffeine. It's about seeing the play before the snap. It's about understanding that preparation beats emotion every single time. So today on the final Morning Wood of 2025, we ain't just talking about what happened. We talking about what we learned. We talking about who folded, who adapted, who stayed quiet, and who kept working. Because 2026 don't care about your excuses or emotions. It only respects your habits. Sit up straight. Let's lock in. Because if this ain't a goodbye, this is a setup for 2026. And you already know, no coffee needed. It's Morning Wood. Hey, look, this whole college football landscape is flipped on its head, man. You got 35 guys. 35 guys who are opting out or unavailable for a bowl game. Bowl game later today. Because they're thinking about draft stock, portables, injuries, money, culture, life after school, whatever you want to call it. That's not a team showing up. That's a reunion with Hills. And before somebody comes at me, Uncle says, well, it's a non-championship game. You got to protect the body. Yeah, I get it. I do. But this is the Sun Bowl, not the Super Bowl. And if you're 35 guys deep opted out, you're basically saying we don't care about the bowl game. We care about something else ahead. That's a symptom, not a strategy. Everybody acted brand new when people from Coach Prime programs are getting in the portal when the season ended. But here you got people with bowl games on the schedule. 35. College football used to be about finishing strong, pride, legacy, representing your school. And now it's a chess match of who can hit the next move without taking a hit today. Bowl headaches used to be about game plans. Now it's about who's even dressing. That's wild. That's wild, wild west. If you're a fan, you paid for that seat, you bought the merch, you cheered the whole season, you should deserve bowls that matter. You should deserve players who want to compete for something more than just tape for Monday's highlight reel. And right now, a 35 player opt out tells you exactly where this sport priorities are. Not with the fans, not with the traditions, and not with the game it used to be. Let me say this slow so everybody in the back in the cheap sheets can hear me. The NCAA did this, not the players, not the coaches, not the fans. The NCAA did this. You open up the transfer portal with no guardrails. You let NIL turn into the Wild Wild West with no market standards. You kept bowl games exactly the same when the entire value system of the sport has changed. And now you're clutching your pearls because 35 players said, nah, I'm good. We're not going to play. That ain't rebellion. That's rational behavior. You told players your value is your tape. Your future is your brand. Your body is your business. Then you turned around and said, well, please risk all that for the Sun Bowl. Come on, man. This ain't players being selfish. This is players being educated. They watch careers in meaningless games. They watch coaches leave before bowl games. They watch teammates get replaced overnight by portal guys making more money than them. And now you expect loyalty with no protection. That makes no math, fam. Here's the cold truth nobody wants to say. Bowl games are exhibitions now. They're branding opportunities, they're recruiting weekends, they're TV inventory, but they are not competitive conclusions to a season anymore. And the players know it. So when 35 guys out of Arizona players opt out, what you're really seeing is this. Players finally playing by the same rules as everybody else. Players making business decisions just like coaches, ADs, and the networks do. Players saying, I'm not risking my future for your nostalgia. And if you're mad about that, don't yell at the kids. Rewrite the system. Tie bowl games to the NIL pools. Guarantee insurance payouts. Limit the portal windows. Attach real incentives to participation. And to the end, stop acting surprised when players treat college football exactly how it's been treating them. Uncle Neely's been telling this. You can't run a pro-style economy and expect amateur era loyalty. That era is over. The opt-out are just a receipt. College football didn't lose its soul. It sold it. Now let me wake some folks up real quick because that wood may not got you going yet. If the fans out there actually knew how much some of these college football players are asking for and how much some of them are getting, this whole sport will hit the panic button by lunchtime today. Because right now, college football is surviving on ignorance and vibes. And the minute the numbers hit the timeline, oh, baby, it's over. Because let's be clear about this. Fans got to think NIL is about commercials, car dealerships, free plate at Applebee's. Nah, fam. This is real money, real negotiations, real egos, real entitlement. We're talking 6 figures for backups, high 6 figures for rotation guys, 7 figures for potential alone, and dudes asking, like all pros, who ain't won a job yet? And before somebody starts typing with their emotion, I'm not blaming the players. I'm blaming the lack of truth and transparency. Because college football has always been transactional. It's used to lie better. Now, lie is on top of the table. It's the truth. Here's the uncomfortable part. Nobody wants to say out loud. Fans can handle NIL. They just can't handle that price tag. Because fandom is emotional, money is logical. And once those two collide, expectations change. That he's just a kid. That grace period is gone. Give him time to develop. That's over. If fans knew the slot receiver dropping passes was making more than their annual salary, oh, the blues don't sound a little different. Let me put it to you like this, y'all. If fans knew the numbers, Saturdays wouldn't feel like church anymore. They feel like a shareholder meeting. People wouldn't be yelling, let's go. They'd be yelling, is he worth it? And coaches know this. That's why the numbers stay quiet. That's why the collectors move in the shadows. That's why nobody wants transparency. Because transparency is going to bring some pressure. And pressure don't come with a buyout. Fans are still operating under the old rules. Loyalty, development, tradition, hard work, sweat equity. But the game done moved on. This is free agency without contracts. This is salary negotiations without performance clauses. This is guaranteed money with zero guarantees. And fans are still being asked to buy tickets, donate, defend players online, and stay patient without knowing what they're investing in. That ain't sustainable. Let me say this real slow. NIL only works when the fans believe it's fair. Not equal, not perfect, just fair. The moment fans find out who's getting paid and how much they're getting and what they're producing, that belief will start cracking. Because fandom is built on trust, and secrecy kills trust every time. And yet, here's the irony. Some people yelling, "Don't question the players," are the same ones who turn around and say, "Why are fans so toxic now?" Because you turned the locker room into a boardroom and forgot the crowd is paying attention. You don't get pro money and pee-wee accountability. That's not how life works. And I know y'all gonna go out there and make clips and chop it up and say I said this when I didn't say that. So let me be clear about this part. I'm pro player getting paid. I'm pro NIL. I'm pro transfer portal. I'm pro ownership of your brand. What I'm not pro is lying to the ecosystem. You can't run a $1 billion industry and expect people to stop asking $1 billion questions. Here's where this is headed, whether folks like it or not. Fans are going to demand transparency, collectors are going to demand performance, and players are going to feel pressure like they've never felt before. Because once that curtain gets pulled back, the applause is going to get quieter and the expectation is going to get louder. NIL didn't change college football. It just exposed it. And when fans finally see the receipts, they ain't going to ask for feelings. They're going to ask for results. As we close out this 2025, speaking of the curtain closing, few storylines in college football, or football in general, captured our attention like the journey of Coach Prime this year. From his health battles to the final 3 wins of the season. Coach Prime and his son, Shedeur Sanders, a saga spanning college football, the NFL draft, and the early stages of NFL career that has been full of twists, highlights, lows, and legacy moments. Well, let's start back where it all started. Let's go back to the draft. Shedeur Sanders entered the draft cycle as one of the most talked about quarterback prospects in the country. Analysts pegged him as a potential top 10 selection, maybe even top 2 or 3. Certainly one of the first 2 quarterbacks. Largely on strength of his electrifying play at Colorado under his dad's coaching, Coach Prime's coaching. But in what would become one of the most dramatic draft narratives ever, Shedeur slid all the way to the 5th round, eventually being selected 144th overall by the Cleveland Browns. That slide wasn't without controversy. There were reports of collusion, perceived bias against him because of who he was, who he is, his dad's son. In one particular bizarre twist, remember draft night, draft day, when the Atlanta Falcons and their defensive coordinator were fined a combined $350,000 after a prank call impersonating an executive from another team? I think we forget all this stuff as the year goes on. This stuff happened. That moment symbolized a theme of 2025. Shedeur's transition from college star to NFL rookie wasn't smooth or linear. Once in Cleveland, Shedeur found himself in a crowded quarterback room. The Browns carried multiple QBs on their roster early in the season, and it wasn't clear when or if he would ever see the field. Reporters chronicled his ups and downs, surprise, position battles, unexpected roster moves, including the surprise decision to keep Sanders by cutting other veterans. But Shedeur didn't just sit on the bench. Midway through the season, injuries started to change things. What unfolded was a rookie campaign of growth, grit, and resilience. A story that's still being written because as we sit today, there's 1 game left against the Cincinnati Bengals. There have been ups, including flashes of real NFL talent, glimpses of poise, and downs too, with inconsistent performances with interceptions, his turnovers drawing sharp analysis from the media, including former Hall of Famer, family friend Michael Irvin, who publicly stepped in to contextualize the criticism after a tough game, reminding fans that this is a young quarterback still finding his footing, despite the noise, though. Shedeur's story this year has been about carrying out his own path, independent of his dad's shadow. He just played Aaron Rodgers, a veteran quarterback, future Hall of Famer, publicly compared his own late draft selection to Shedeur's, acknowledging the young QB's resilience and encouraging his development. And throughout it all, one of the most compelling subplots of the year has been his relationship between Coach Prime, the dad, and his son. Deion Sanders made multiple public shows of support, not just in words, but in action. After Colorado's season ended, he traveled to Cleveland to be with Shedeur, showing his bond transcends football strategy and headlines. You've seen the video clips throughout the season of Prime giving his son encouragement before the Browns games on the sidelines, a father coaching his son in a whole new arena. That emotional current was one of the most human aspects of 2025. A coach who spent much of the fall battling to rebuild Colorado and a rookie QB navigating the unpredictability of the NFL. Their stories intertwined, but each with different stakes. Now, back in Boulder, Prime faced his own challenge. Colorado finished 2025 season with a disappointing 3-9 record, marking a tough chapter in his tenure for sure, and a clear departure from the buzz of Heisman Trophy winner Travis Hunter and other NFL hopefuls there. That contrast to struggling college program versus a son breaking into the NFL was one of the most defining narrative arcs of the year. It speaks to the unfinished business both coach and quarterback carry into 2026. Looking ahead, Shedeur's development in Cleveland will be one of the more fascinating storylines in the AFC North and the NFL. Scouts and analysts are already projecting how he might grow into a franchise role, especially as he gains more experience. Meanwhile, back in Colorado, the quarterback carousel in his absence underscores how much impact he really had on the program and why his name is up there in that stadium. In the end, the biggest takeaway from 2025 isn't a single stat line or headline moment. It's the fact that the Sanders legacy continues to evolve. Deion Sanders remains one of the most charismatic, polarizing figures in football, and his son Shedeur is starting to write his own chapter. And not as Coach Prime's son, but as a legitimate NFL talent. The story of 2025 is about expectations versus reality, resilience in the face of adversity, and the deep personal bonds that drive athletes to keep pushing forward. If we learned anything this year, y'all, it's that the Sanders story is far from over. And if 2026 brings even half the drama, the triumphs, and the heat of 2025, football fans, long it off, y'all, sorry. Football fans are going to be in for a hell of a year. A hell of a 2026 is coming. Speaking of 2026, my people, if you've been rocking with the Morning Wood from these early morning takes and even the replays of late opinions, I appreciate you. But here's what we got to understand as just human beings going into 2026. 2026 don't owe us nothing. It don't care about how hard last year was. It only respects what we're going to do next. So take today, December 31st. Take what you learned, drop what slowed you down, and move with intention. Move with intention into 2026. Continue to rock with the Pregame Network. Don't forget about Big Dog Chico, my guy Deuce to Scoop. If you're watching, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And do it with somebody who needs a little discipline and motivation, because that's what we're about. The Morning Wood ain't leaving. We're going to pop back up all of 2026. Love.